Hello, everyone, and welcome back to F1 Live on Instagram Live. It is Thursday. I'm not sure what week it is, but welcome back. Welcome to, as I said, another F1 Live, another Instagram Live, where we will be having another F1 driver along to answer your questions. So get your questions coming at the bottom there. You've been so good over these last few interviews, sending in some really interesting questions, and we've loved reading them all and putting them to the drivers. One guy, though, I know you all want to hear from. I know how much you want to ask him your questions and see how he's doing. We've heard a lot from him, obviously, already over these last few weeks, and it's Mr. Lando Norris, who's in his garden.
I am.
How are you?
Look at it. I'm enjoying magical sunshine in England.
It's incredibly rare we get sunshine in the UK.
It's very nice. Yeah, I'm just out here. I'm doing some training, trying to keep fit in whatever way. But in my garden, doing some training in the lovely sunshine.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. We've seen so much of you these last few weeks. Esports. You seem to have made the most out of this break.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy, really. Although it's there's not a lot of things to get up to nowadays. While in this break, but at the same time, I've been busy with obviously predominantly the sim racing stuff. Doing the F1 esports races, the virtual GPs, not the virtual GPs, whatever race I can do on iRacing and on F1, I've pretty much been doing. But it was what I was doing before. It's not something which is new to me. It's something I started doing years and years ago, and now I just get to do it pretty much all day. So no, it's been good fun, although it's not normal, and there's better things I would still like to do, which is go back to normal racing. Is still one of the the second most enjoyable thing that I like to do.
Is it quite strange that this thing that you've been doing for a number of years now has suddenly become the thing that everyone's doing because it's the only way that people can go racing?
Kind of like yeah, it is. Seeing not everyone, but I reckon a large proportion of racing drivers, not just from F1 or Formula E, but all categories: GT, GT3, Le Mans, Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 4. It's like it was going up slightly, sim racing and esports and stuff, but this situation we're in has just made it skyrocket completely. And I was racing some people before, but now I get to race against the same drivers I race on the actual racetrack, and we get to do it on the F1 game, and we still get to have a lot of fun together. And I know it's weird, it's different, but it's more relaxed, obviously, because we're all in the Discord or chatting together, which is the opposite of a normal race. You're all just speaking to your own race engineers in a race, and it's super serious, whereas this is a lot more like just relaxed and fun, and you can take the mick out of each other a lot more. So it's different, but it's cool, and I think it's good for not only us, but for you guys and the fans and everyone to watch all of us carry on racing and having fun.
It's lovely actually hearing you guys talking to each other while you're racing. Do you wish we could do that, like, for real? Would you talk to each other in Grand Prix?
I don't know if we would, because there's still times when we get very silent. Like you hear us in practice, and we'll be like, you won't hear anyone stop talking, and you just wish everyone shut up. And then we go into qualifying, absolute silence.
Yeah.
No one says anything. And that's obviously the situation you get into when you start taking things seriously, and we all want to beat each other. And then that's our little mode that we go into, is silent, kind of mute everyone, and then you try and do the best job you can. So I don't know what it would be like if we actually did it in F1, if we were able to talk to each other. The thing is, you just go into a corner, and as soon as he's about to turn in, you just scream in his ear or something, wouldn't you? And you try and make him crash or something. So I don't know if that would be necessarily a good idea, but it should be more open, for everyone. Well, it is open now, but for everyone to be able to hear what goes on behind the scenes and talking to our engineers and everything. Like with the F1 TV, you get to tune into the different drivers and hear what they're saying and hear a bit more about what actually goes on, not just the ones which are shown on the actual TV. So it's it's good that it's kind of opening up more into that side of things, and people get to hear more of what goes on.
Has it surprised you how many drivers have taken it up? And actually, which drivers have surprised you, either through being really competitive or not being very competitive at all?
I mean, it has surprised me how many people have joined, especially the F1 drivers. I didn't think as many would have joined, and are continuing to join. You obviously still have some which haven't joined, such as Lewis and Seb. I mean, I saw Lewis got a simulator and so on, but not everyone has the equipment, and some are only like just getting stuff to be able to race, such as Roman, who, you know, got a simmer a week ago or something, or a few days ago. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I was prepared for this situation, but I had a backup, and I was very easily able to switch to it. But not a lot of other people were, and everyone's kind of getting simulators, and even, you know, MotoGP riders, footballers, a lot of them are also enjoying coming and trying the F1 stuff and racing with us. So that's also good to see. But yeah, I'm a bit surprised about how many people have kind of got onto it. But in the end of the day, we're racing drivers. We love to race. So if we can't race on the actual track, and we're stuck at home for so long, then it's the only other option for all of us to do.
Now, obviously, it's not exactly the same as, you know, the cars you're used to driving. There is a little bit of difference. You've got to get used to it. But it does free up you drivers from any championship to go and race anywhere doing anything. Mm-hmm. And you've been practicing IndyCar at COTA, and those laps I was watching them yesterday, they were quiet while you were.
They were. I was in the zone. It was like the first proper, or one of the first proper sessions, because I had Jav, who is now living in America. So Jav is no longer effectively my actual performance engineer anymore. So he's over in America with McLaren Arrow SP, and so I get to kind of talk to him, and it was weird because, you know, I wouldn't have thought last year after him leaving I'd be, you know, doing engineering stuff with him virtually on iRacing. So it was weird, and he's got all my live timing, my sector times. He's looking at all my data. He's just sent me a report from all of my data saying, you know, in exactly the same way as how we did it last year at the actual racetrack, you know, which corners I need to focus on, how I need to focus on them. And, you know, if I open up a report from last year versus this one, it's like exactly the same.
Oh,
so
man.
It's really cool. And when you take it seriously like that, which is why I was quiet, is because, yeah, I'm with Jav, and you try to take it a bit more seriously. And it's also, you know, in the end of the day, it's a good opportunity for me to learn still and work on things, and not just to have fun, but still try and improve as a driver myself. So that's also why we kind of try to bring Jav into it, and work together with the other drivers. There'll be another session tonight, preparing for the race. So
you are racing. You're going to race COTA with IndyCar.
I am actually doing a race on Saturday. So
awesome.
Yeah, I need to get up the pace. I need to up the pace a bit more. I think there's some very quick drivers. Some of the guys who have done all the races so far, like Will Power, McLaughlin, I think, was doing them.
McLaughlin's been a shock, right? McLaughlin's
he's freaking fast. Yeah,
he's super quick. Really quick.
Especially in the V8 stuff. Obviously, they've been doing the V8 races as well.
Yeah.
And that car is not easy to drive one little bit. It's one of the most fun cars I've ever driven. The V8 supercar, I've never driven in real life, but on the simulators, it's amazing. But it's just very tricky with all the heel and towing, the blipping, the clutch work. It's just very different to Formula One, basically, and having a lot of downforce and carrying a lot of minimum speed. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, seeing these drivers from other categories, such as V8s or something, and then swapping into these other cars, being able to race against drivers they wouldn't ordinarily race against, or, you know, we get to race against. That's also really cool, because everyone kind of comes together more and isn't in all these different categories. So it's that's one of the other really cool aspects about it.
Would you do the 500, the Indy 500?
What I do? I would. I think I've actually been doing a bit of oval races.
Cool.
On iRacing. So there's a lot of oval stuff, and I've been doing it in IndyCar with it. It's a fixed setup for everyone.
Because you're never going to get to do it in real life, because it for as long as you're in Formula One, because it's always on the Monaco weekend.
Exactly. So virtually, 100%, I'll be down to do it. and a lot of thousands of people do it on iRacing. So it's very tough, and you have to be changing the same as real life. You've got to change the roll bars throughout the corners from one lap to another, the roll jacker or whatever it is. Yeah, there's so many things to be changing. So
Wow.
it's cool how similar it is and how many things are replicated from one to another. But of course, Indy 500 is a complete contrast to racing in Formula One, and therefore I would love to do it.
Brilliant. That's a great answer. And don't forget, for COTA this weekend, you don't have to brake at turn 19. They just run.
Yeah, I know. They're straight off. Yeah, I'll see if I can get away with it.
Oh, you definitely can. You definitely can. I want to go through some videos before we take some questions from the fans. You're wearing your cap because, of course, this happened.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's here.
You see, I thought you were going to...
Look at it. It's awful.
I thought you were going to...
I got some really long bits behind my ears that I couldn't get to very well with the...
No, are you joking? Oh, my goodness.
I mean, I can't see that, can I?
Yeah, but what clippers did you use?
Well, I just bought some on Amazon. I think it was more of a shave,
because they look more like
shaver.
Well, they look like kind of like manscaping thing.
Yeah, I think it was. That's why it took so long for me to do it. But no, it's just very sunny. That's why I got it on.
Okay.
And I'm not the biggest fan of it either.
You should go shorter.
I like having long hair, to be honest.
Wet shave the whole thing.
Wet shave the whole thing.
Just go completely bald.
I'm happy I took the risk of even doing this. I'm happy I went this far already.
And you raised a lot of money. You raised so much money for charity as well. You've been doing an awful lot of charity work over these last few weeks.
I have been, and it's been very enjoyable. Obviously, we had the F1 stuff that we were doing between some of the F1 drivers, Nicholas, Charles, Alex, George, myself, probably some other people I should name. We managed to raise around 75,000 altogether. Personally, I raised 25,000 from that one. I raised another 12,000 from my hair one. So I think altogether, and I did one other one where I managed to raise something like 11,000. So altogether, I managed to raise something like 40,000.
That's
which
great.
I'm really happy with.
Yeah.
I'm still doing something productive with my time at home. Trying to give something back because I'm still fortunate. I'm in the position I'm in, and I have a nice garden that I can come and do stuff in, and other people don't, and are in much worse situations than I am. So, yeah, I'm trying to do my part to give a little bit back.
Now you have got a nice garden, and you're making use of it, and you have raised some money. Not quite as much though as this chap. For folks outside the UK who probably don't know him, explain what's going on here.
So this gentleman is an absolute hero. His 100th birthday is coming up on the 30th of this month, and for charity, he said he was going to walk 100 laps of his garden, and try and raise money for charity. And
he wanted to raise £1,000, right? It was
his aim or something was a few thousand. And I'm not sure what the total figure is now. When I spoke to him, it was around 13 million. And he's now raised over 20, I think.
It's insane, isn't it?
I mean, it makes me look terrible with my 45,000 that I raised. Makes me look like a terrible job. But he's a hero. He's an inspiration even for someone like me, for so many people around the UK, but also around the world. So yeah, he's inspired a lot of us to try and do things like what we've been doing and raising money. 28 million, I see someone said.
Crazy.
Oh my god,
it's crazy. And you've invited him to McLaren when lockdown's over.
Yes,
he's a big F1 fan.
Yeah, he is a big F1 fan. I think particularly a McLaren fan. Thank you. So yeah, I was very lucky, and I got to FaceTime him and say thank you and congrats for what he's been doing. Found out he's also a big Formula One fan. He's watched it for many years with his family, and I invited them down to McLaren when all of this stuff is over. to come and have a walk around, as I'm sure we can walk that little bit more around McLaren to, just have a little bit of a tour and, again, give something back to him for doing so much for everyone.
Amazing stuff. And of course, McLaren have been putting their time to good use, along with a number of other Formula One teams helping out with respirators for the NHS.
They have been, which is, again, really cool to see. Within this time, it's not just the drivers who are trying to do something, but the teams who probably can do even more, providing and building and making and coming up with their own ideas of the respirators. Because Formula One is so advanced with the amount of things, and technically with what goes on behind the scenes of making a Formula One car and how it's built and how it runs. This can be translated very easily into these other products and making things, and in the end of the day, trying to save people's lives, which is awesome. It's not just a team that build race cars and just go out racing, but also in other areas, which McLaren already are in, and other teams with applied technology. So it's I think it's really cool to see us trying to do as much as we can as a team and personally as drivers to try and help everyone.
Absolutely. Right, let's get some questions in from the fans, because they've all been flowing in over the course of the last sort of 15 minutes. Need to find some decent ones. Oh, that's a good one. How have you coped with quarantine? Because obviously, we know you've been doing a lot of esports, but how have you actually coped, mentally with being locked down and not out racing? I
mean, it's initially I'm quite a quiet. I'm not always quiet. I like to be quite a quiet person, and I like spending time alone anyway. So it wasn't like the end of the world for me. And of course, I got to do a lot of things that I still love doing and enjoy doing. But still spending, whatever it's been now, almost a month, 3.5, 4 weeks, alone. I'm not even with my family. I'm not with my trainer. I've literally been.
Family? You're all alone.
I'm all alone. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. So, I've had to take take the precautions necessary for myself, but then also for my family and coming back from Australia and so on. I'm hopefully, I don't know whether I'll be going back soon or not, but I've had to take the precautions I've had to for not only the health of myself, but also my family, which is more important. Which is a bit sad and a bit annoying, because they're having a lot of fun, and it was my mum's birthday last week, and I couldn't make it down, so it's a bit sad. But yeah, I still call in every now and then and say hello, of course. But I've just been focusing on the things I can focus on, which is my training physically, trying to keep that up from pre-season testing, especially because when you go back into driving, it's going to be quite a big shock for the body to be able to go from doing nothing, not even a bit of testing or driving an F3 car or driving any car of any sort. It's literally going from driving a road car, and I've not even done that much, to jumping in, one of the fastest cars in the world, pulling X amount of G-force in every corner. It's a big shock for the body. So physically,
and it's
that's one of the
you're going to have, like, over the winter, you have like 2 months break and you go testing. You're going to be straight into racing. Exactly.
And it's probably, well, from what I've heard, going to be double headers or something, or 2 races on a weekend, from what I've seen. Ooh. So, it's going to be tricky. And physically, that's why we're trying to keep up physically the gains. Now I sound really cool, huh? The gains we got from pre-season testing, and the body changes and gets used to driving the car, and how the body adapts to driving a race car. Because you can do all the training you want, at home, and you can do all these neck exercises, but you still jump in a Formula One car, and the movements and how everything happens, you can't really replicate identically in training. So it's still a shock to everyone's body, even though, you can be one of the fittest guys in Formula One or the fittest guys in the world or whatever. It's still tough on a human body. So trying to maintain the physical attributes we got from preseason testing for as long as possible. Mentally trying to keep on top of keeping some structure in your life. making sure you're eating healthy foods. Although I did have a Domino's the other night.
Nice.
To treat myself sometimes, and trying to keep on top of your food, some structure, not going to bed too late, although I still get to enjoy some nights staying up a bit later and playing some games with my friends online or something. So it's not been super difficult, and I'm in a good situation with still good people around me and good plans for what I need to do and achieve my own goals and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Lando, what I love about you is you never give short answers. They're always full, proper.
Yeah, maybe I'll cut them down.
Everything. I love it. This is a great question. If you've got a couple more minutes, this is great.
Absolutely.
Which classic McLaren F1 car would you be most interested in trying? I mean, if you're a kid in a candy shop at McLaren, you've got.
What year is classed as classic?
Let's go
from before this year, last year.
No, I think we could go anything not from the last decade. So I think you can go probably like 2009 backwards.
Okay. Well, I'll have two then. I'll go 100% 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
When it was Lewis against Fernando.
Okay. Yeah.
A car from then, because every time I walk down the boulevard in McLaren, that's one of the coolest ones when it was in the...
They're so aggressive, aren't they?
Yes, the amount of bits and everything they had on them
and
are incredible. And it just looks super cool. It's lightweight. The car sounds amazing. So that's one of the cars I would love to drive. And secondly, it would be a much more classical car from 1980 or something, or around when Senna was driving, with the H-pattern gearbox. I think the complete contrast, basically, as far as I can get away from current year Formula One cars. I'd say those are my two cars I would love to drive eventually.
Do you go like the MP44 or the MP45, something like that?
Yes, I think the white and orange, just the look of the cars, very simple, very unique, and just again, they sound awesome. You watch all these videos and classical videos on Sky F1, and they just look awesome to drive. They look a handful.
Yeah. And
they look awful at times, but that also looks like part of it, and why they were such good drivers back then, with the amount of things they had to do with the H pattern and the clutch work and everything like that. Now we got it easy with just some paddles on the back of a steering wheel and a throttle and brake, basically.
And I mean, you've got a huge choice there as well. You've got the Can-Am cars. You've got, the amazing McLarens from the 70s. I mean, and not to forget, you've got the McLaren F1.
There's too many. I mean, you said choose one. I've already chosen two. I could choose a whole list. I've driven a Can-Am car, or one very similar to the Dan Gurney one. Obviously, I drove in Goodwood, actually.
Oh, of course.
I also drove one in America once. And they are beasts. Yeah. They are incredible. They're really heavy, like pretty much zero downforce and a heck lot of power, basically. And they're incredible to drive. I managed to do some donuts, which I wasn't allowed to do really, but I was like, this could be one of the only times I get to drive a car like this. So I'm 100% going to be doing some donuts.
Wow. This is quite an interesting one. Do you think the brake will help? Oh, I thought it said other drivers. It says older drivers who may have been getting burned out. Do you think it'll help? I mean, you guys never get much of a chance to actually rest for those couple of months. Do you think this will give everyone a chance to kind of take stock? And
I think so. It's more of a break, so I think it's more important to make sure you keep on top of things and don't get too lazy and too relaxed. I think like the winter break, although it's winter break in the off season, in hindsight compared to this, it's quite short. And we end up in December. We're normally busy all the way through December with work and still debriefs and everything, preparing for the following year. But then it's not long before we go into pre-season testing already. Whereas this feels a lot more like, because you literally can't leave your house or do anything, it's much more of a chance to relax and break apart from racing entirely and not really think about it. So it's nice, but then at the same time, it is difficult to be able to constantly remind yourself of the more important things, which is when you do go back to F1 and back to work, how we are able to just to switch our mindsets and get back on top of our game and think about the things that we need to be thinking about. So I don't think it'll be different for whether you're older or younger. I think everyone's in Formula One has the same mindset of trying to be the best and keeping up to date physically and mentally and making sure they're well prepared for the beginning of the season.
We've kept you for way longer than we should have done. So
I'm tanning in the sun. It's wonderful.
We'll have one final question, and it falls into what you were talking about then. Where's the first place you're going to go after quarantine?
Where's the first place I'm going to go?
Not the factory, because factory obviously, but
it probably would be the factory. I live like 1 minute away actually, so sometimes I cycle past it and I cycle around the lake. So I've been to the factory a bit. Obviously, not gone inside because you're not allowed to. But I've walked around it. I cycled around it. I don't know. A bit of Topgolf. I mean, do you know what I would love? To go to like Burger King or something.
Lovely. Yeah.
Get a McDonald's drive-through.
Ah. I mean, I'm kind of missing that. I've figured out how to make the McDonald's breakfast. I can make that at home now.
Really?
Oh, mate, it's so easy. It's so easy.
I've not thought of that, but it's maybe something I'll ask my trainer if it's allowed.
I'll send you the recipe. It's totally easy. Sausage McMuffins. Great stuff, Lando. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
A message for all of your fans, for everyone that's tuned in.
Do I have a message? Ooh. Of course, I got to say not the mandatory, but the usual, which is I hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for viewing this and keeping up to date with all the F1 stuff. Making sure you stay safe, you stay home, and like I'm trying to do in some ways, you look after other people and not just be selfish and think about yourself so much, even if you are getting bored or whatever. But yeah, think about the more vulnerable people in the world, basically. But apart from that, have fun. Still, go out for a run and enjoy some time outside. Yeah, make sure you keep up to date with all of the stuff us as drivers are doing. Obviously, me as well. But yeah, on our Twitch or our social accounts or whatever. And I hope to see you all very soon.
Lovely stuff, Lando. You take care, man. And
cheers, Will. Thank you very much.
All the best.
Have a good one. Peace.